Welcome back. In this video, we're going to discuss modifiers and forced and multiple modifier pages. This shows you another way that you can create pop-ups that give you options depending on a meal. So for example, if we have a steak, you want to pop up a box to say, how do you want your steak cooked? Whether you want it rare, medium, well done, etc. You have them on a separate page, and we call that a forced modifier page. Okay, so now I'm going to show you another step above the price breaks, and we're going to go to the forced and multiple modifier pages and what determines what is a modifier in the system. So let's log into our back office as normal. Let's go back to our buttons. Let's go to our quick add. Alright, so I think what we'll do is we'll create a fresh item which we'll just put on any page on the menu just to show you how it reacts. And this will give you the concept of what the modifier option page is. Alright, so I'll just scroll through the existing menu I have, and you might notice that, see here we have a dash in a lot of the options here in the breakfast. So for example, when you see things like a dash, 2 poached eggs, 2 bacon, 2 mini cheese Kranskis, these, when you see a dash in front of the items, this tells it that this is actually a modifier. It sits underneath something. So if you hit a full breakfast and you say I want 2 bacon, 2 hash browns, it'll come in under the full breakfast and it becomes a modifier. Okay, so anytime you see a dash in the front, the system will automatically pick that up and say, oh, this is a modifier, let's line it up under the main item. And for this reason, sometimes you don't need to allocate a printer to it because the system will automatically know that this is a modifier that sits under something else. So let's start with putting our main item first, and then we're going to create some modifiers and we're going to put on a separate page, and I'm going to show you today how you can jump to the different pages and what they are. Okay, and when I talk about different pages, I mean obviously category pages. Remember I was saying to you, you have up to 999 pages, and when you hit an item, you can jump to another page and it can give you options. So let's use a steak as an example. I'm going to go here a ribeye 250 gram steak. That's very nice. It's making my mouth watery just thinking about it. And we're going to put this is a main meal. So I want it to come under my mains in my tally. So how many main meals we sell in a day. I'm not worried about a subcategory at this point. This is going to print in the kitchen. So I'm now going to create a kitchen printer, which traditionally is number 2. Is our kitchen printer. It's a food item. We sell them as each. And the price of a steak is say $29. It's included GST because we're obviously cooking it. All food will have GST in this case. Okay, so now we've created a ribeye. All right. Now, what options are we going to have under this ribeye? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have, how do you want your steak? So let's say rare will be a first option. Now this is not a main item, this is just an option. So I'm just going to tally them up on the options. There's no extra cost for options, so I can put a 0 price. Now I can allocate a printer to say force it to always print on kitchen printer number 2, but I don't need to because that's an option. So I can even delete that if I like. What will happen is when I pick my steak, it'll pop up with these options automatically, and it'll know that it's part of the steak because I've got my little dash here in front. So the concept here is to understand that the dash here is a modifier. Okay, so we've got rare is one choice. I'm going to add that as a new item. I'm going to create medium as well, add that one, and I'm going to go large. Oh, sorry, rare, medium, and well done, sorry, well done. Okay, so now we have well, medium, well done. You can have a lot more options. You can have medium rare, medium well done. If you like, for the sake of this exercise, I'm just going to pick these 3 options. Okay, so when you're designing your menu and you're going to have little pop-up pages, the best thing would be is to number all your pages that you're going to have options on, because you may have other items that will use the exact same options. So for example, if I use page 30 to give me my rare, medium and well done, it'd be good to write down, okay, my steak cooking choices are page 30, and I might put that as well onto say a tomahawk. I want to know how I want my tomahawk cooked, or I might want to know how how my lamb cutlets are cooked. They will still have the same options as they would for a steak. So therefore, you can have the same page with those options. Okay, so in this case, and the other thing I like to structure when I create a menu is the first 24 pages I generally use for menu items because they're visible from the front screen. Anything after page 24, it starts to become options. So I start my forced modifier options from page 30. Now this is just the way I'm structuring it. So, and I'll show you what I mean by these pages, because at the moment you're hearing me talk about these numbers, but I'm going to show you what I mean. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a category. I'm just going to call it mains. Let's go back to our menu. So I'm going to create this category over here as main. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3. So let's go and create our new category for number 3. I'm going to call this mains. And I'm going to put this under our menu. Okay, and I'll save that. Okay, so now we've got a category called mains. In this mains, I'm now going to put my steak. So let me have a look at my number on my steak. Is 6150. So I'm just going to go here, 6150. Press enter. There's my ribeye. I'm going to make it a nice big juicy red color. There we go. So we've got our item. Now you have two choices here. You can have this bounce automatically to another page where you're forced to select how you want your steak cooked, or I could just have them as options down the bottom. Now I generally only put the options on the bottom, in the bottom 2 rows, when that can be used across multiple items, number 1, and 2, you can have multiple choices of those. So we're sitting currently on a page type here, which is a multiple, and you can see you have 2 types. You have a multiple or a forced. Now your visual ones are generally multiples. So in this case, I want it to ask me, a pop-up to ask me how I want my steak done. So remember when I was talking about page numbers, over here, we're sitting on category number 3. So I like to start my pop-up pages from page 30. If I press this little button on the side here, it gives me page 30, and you can see it's absolutely blank. And this is where I'm going to place my choices of rare, medium, or well done. So let's do that. Let's have a look at our numbers. My rare is 6160, so let's go 6160 rare. I'll give that a nice pink color. This one will be medium, 6170 medium. Let's give this a slightly darker color. And our well done, and we'll give this a darker color again. So now there's our forced options of rare, medium, and well done, and they're sitting on page 30. Okay, so let's go back to our mains. So how do I get this thing now to jump to page 30 automatically? Because if I click here, you'll see we're on page 3. Let's go back to our quick add and update. Now let's go to the end. Remember this modifier option number? And you can see it here. -1 means stay where you are. However, on the ribeye, I want it to jump to page 30. So I'm going to change that one to 30. There you go. And I'm going to save that. So now when I hit ribeye, it's going to jump to page 30 automatically. So when I go back and I go to page 30 here, when I hit my ribeye, this is what it's going to show me. Now once I select that, it'll go back to where I was, which was mains. Let's see how that reacts from the front. Let's log in as a user. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is a common practice, especially if you've got a lot of options that you want to force the option to the user. So let's go to our mains category just created. Let's hit our ribeye. And here we go. Oh, I've got a still set as a multiple modifier. So what this means now is that I can pick more than one. Okay, so, and that's not right. So I want to turn this into a forced modifier. But you can see, what I wanted to show you here is that when you hit the ribeye, it jumps to page 30. Now I've got to tell this page 30 though, I want this to be forced, so they can only pick one of them. So how do we do that? Let's go back in the back end and have a look. And if you remember, when we were putting our buttons together, we had that option to show what page type it was. So let's bring up our menu and let's go to our mains. 30. Okay, this is a multiple page type. If I go to page 30, save it, you can see it's still a multiple page type. I haven't defined what type of page it is. So I'm going to say I want this one forced. So I can only pick one of these three items. And I'm going to save that. So now this page is now saved as a forced modifier page. And let's see how it reacts now. And this way you can see the different reaction. Now, you'd use the multiple modifier page if you have a lot of condiments that you want to add onto a meal. So if you want to add on a pizza, you might want to add anchovies, pineapples, and whatever. That'd be multiple pages. But in this case, let's bring up our menu again. And I go to our mains, I hit my ribeye, and you can see now I can only pick one, and when I pick one, it drops me straight back. Okay, at the moment I've got it overriding, so it's overriding the item, but again, there's more options to be set up in the background that'll allow you to do otherwise. So let's go change our modifiers and our pos rules so that don't override, they just become a modifier. Get rid of that one. And that's an important option because you can have that, so you can have an item that'll override the complete item. This is one of the many options that we have in there. So use the force modifier as a price break, product override. So this will override a value instead of adding it as an option. So let's go back, let's see how it reacts now. And it's good that you're seeing this because this shows you all the different options and different ways you can create an item and how it reacts differently. So in this case, now what we've done, and I'll recap it all in a minute, but let's just go back and have a look at our main. Let's look at our ribeye. Now it's giving us a forced medium. So you can see it lines it up underneath the ribeye as a medium. If I go another ribeye, I'm going to go well done. It separates the two. Okay, and you can see that that will follow that. Now, again, using a modifier, if we want to add some chili on the ribeye, I'm going to click on this and just go insert modifier and go add chili. And I want to add another $2 onto that. So I've added chili into my medium ribeye. And these are all the wonderful things you can do. You want to get rid of it, hit minus, and away we go. And if it makes sense to you on the screen, it'll make sense on the kitchen docket. So let's go back 1 second and we just recap what we just learned there. There's a lot of information in that little short video. So let's just recap it now step by step and so you know exactly how to set up a multiple page break. Okay, so let's go to our buttons. Let's go to our quick add. So we created a normal item through quick add called a ribeye. That ribeye, I could have set a page number there automatically for it, but I set it afterwards. So if I copy that up there, you can see it shows me. And now, once I created that ribeye, if I want to make this a rump steak, I can go rump steak, 250 gram rump steak. It's only $27. I'm going to use the same modifier, page 30. I can set it here and I'm going to add it as a new item. So now I've got a ribeye and I've got a rump steak and they're both jumping onto the modifier page number 30. Okay, so all that is then, we go to our menu, we go to page 30, and that's the options it'll display. I can add other options on there, like other buttons, like you do every other button. It's normal. I've told it this is a forced modifier page, so that means it can only select one item, and that's all it is really. So let's add our rump onto here. What was the number of our rump? Our rump was 6190. So let's go rump steak 6190. Let's add a rump steak. Let's pick a nice juicy color for that too. Let's go a slightly lighter red. There's our rump steak. And if we go back through to the front, you will see that when we hit our rump steak, it'll go to the same force modifier page and give me the same options. So your menu, let's go to our mains, rump steak. How do I like my rump steak? Medium. How do I like my ribeye? Well done. And there you go. So that was a pretty extensive bit of information there. So it shows you your modifier option number is the category page number you want to go to when an item is pressed. and that gives you a lot more options than just your typical 6 price breaks. But if it's the same item, you'd use your price breaks. If it's options that go with an item, you use your modifiers. And the difference between the modifier pages, you've got the multiple that allows you to select more than one, or you've got the forced that allows you to only pick one. Okay, I hope that was quite informative, and thank you for watching.